You just graduated! Congratulations! Now what? You're confused, you're panicked, you don't know what to do. You just opened this brand new door and there are so many pathways in front of you. You don't know where to begin. You don't know how to take the first step. You don't know which path to go for. And you feel all alone. Relax, it's normal. I've been there. So many other people have been there. And I'm here to tell you that it's going to be all right. So first thing first, let's take a deep breath. Out. Okay, that feels good. In this video, I'm going to share with you what I would do as a new marketing graduate or as a new graduate who wants to go into marketing. But just give me a second before that, because the very first thing that I would do is to actually stop and ask myself, is there anything I want to do? Is there any risk I want to take that is not career related, but I want to do after graduation and before I begin my professional career? That is something that I unfortunately did not ask myself, and I realized later on that you don't really get that many chances in life to stop and ask yourself, is there anything else that I would do out of this, typical ladder of life where you're first a student and then you go into career and then you get married and then have kids and so on and so forth. So I'm talking about the typical things that a majority of people do these days, right? So is there anything that you would like to do, a risk that you want to take, a volunteer experience, maybe a huge traveling experience? Is there anything you want to do in that area? So if your answer is yes to that question, go take that risk, go do whatever is on your mind, and don't feel guilty about it at all. But if your answer is no and you know you want to already move into your professional life, then continue watching. This video is going to be perfect for you. Firstly though, I want to say welcome and thanks for being here. I hope you're doing amazing. If you're new to my channel, my name is Elif. Nice to meet you. I make videos about marketing, career tips, and remote working. And I would love for you to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you're interested in watching these kinds of videos. One of the first things that you notice as soon as you start looking for jobs, start reading through the job posts, is that there is a huge difference between what you have learned in school and what you're now seeing in the real marketing world, as I call it. You're going to see different skills that you haven't learned in school already. You are going to see that companies are actually looking for experience in certain fields, even though the position is posted as a junior role. So there is a huge difference between what you learn in school, most of the times, and what you are going to do in real life in an actual job, or if you're setting up your own business, doesn't matter. But there's just a huge difference between school and professional career. There is definitely going to be a lot of experimenting, trial and errors, and self-teaching if you want to become a good, strong digital marketer. And I do mention this and emphasize this in my other videos as well, but you are going to do a lot of self-learning. You need to be someone who questions a lot, someone who always seeks out for new information, and someone who always has a learner mindset and is always going after information, being up to date, and being on top of what is happening in their industry. Now let's go ahead and talk about the 12 things that I've listed here that I would do if I was a new graduate today. So number one thing is to work on your self-awareness. And I know this doesn't sound like it's directly related to a profession or a career in general, but I promise that this is the most important thing that you could start working on, and ideally as early on in your life as possible. And there is really no expiry date to this. I, to this day, still ask myself the questions that I am going to share with you, and I don't think I will ever stop asking myself these questions. So here they go. What are you good at? What do you see yourself doing? Number 3, what are you okay to do? What makes you happy and what makes you unhappy? Number 4, where do you want to be? Where do you see yourself? And I'm not talking about the typical where do you see yourself in 5 years type of question that is very common in interviews, but just a broad question to yourself. Where do you want to be in life? That could be a city to live in, that could be a position that you hold in a company, that could be the type of house that you live in, all of those things. So Where do you want to be? Number 4. And number 5 is what kind of experience do you want? And you can ask this question to yourself in terms of a job or anything else, but let's take the job example right now. You can ask yourself if you want to work with a team, what type of manager do you want to have, what type of culture do you want to experience in the company that you work for, or what type of culture do you want to build for your own company? If you're working with a team, how does that team look like? So just overall, be very descriptive and try to define and identify what type of experience do you want to have in your career. Number 6 is, do you have a dream? Do you have big goals? Do you have dreams that right now seem very far away and very unrealistic to you? Keep talking about them, keep thinking about them, and keep writing about them. I'm sure you've heard of the power of visualization and writing things down. Do write your dreams and do think about them and do voice them out. Number 7, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Try to get to know yourself. Try to understand who you are. What are you really good at? What areas do you feel comfortable in? What areas you are totally not interested in, or what areas are you weak in but you want to grow yourself in. So really try to get to know yourself, and this is going to help you significantly in all of your life. Number 8 is, can you put a spotlight on those strengths, because those are going to be your superpowers. So once you identify what you're strong in and what makes you happy, then can you try to polish them even further? Can you try to become even more stronger in those areas? And number 9 is, with all of this new information, with all of this work that you're doing in terms of self-awareness, can you take this and can you put this into a personal brand? Can you start working on your personal brand, your online presence? If you were a brand, how would it look like? What are the adjectives you would describe yourself as if you were a brand? So start thinking of that already. And again, this is something that I quite often mention in my other videos as well, but one of the first things that I would definitely work on is my personal brand, which brings me to number 2, which is start to work on your online presence. Now that you have given some thought on how your personal brand would look like, try to make that visible. Try to make your skills, your experience, your goals, your expertise visible in an online format. And this can be through the content that you share that is original content, or that could be curated content, which means that you take relevant content from other sources and you curate it on your own platform. Or it could be through your interactions, engagement with brands, with other individuals online. But you know, as a millennial, that one of the first things we do about any new person that we meet is to actually go ahead and Google them, right? So you want to have an online presence and try to figure out the right way that works for you to portray your skills, your experience, your expertise, and your goals. Number 3 is something that I haven't talked about before in my other videos, but it's very important for me. Marketing is all about being a linchpin. Creativity has to be a part of your life. You have to discover your edges, you have to think outside the box, and you have to make this a habit for yourself. And if you feel that this is a weak point for you, there are so many amazing books, amazing resources on this. A couple of things that I would recommend to start with are the Linchpin book by Seth Godin. It is a very important resource for marketers, and it is one that I go back to every now and then just to refresh my mind as well. And the second book that I'd like to recommend is Start With Why by Simon Sinek. Number 4 is familiarizing yourself with the marketing tools, the marketing technology available in the market. And I wanted to put this here specifically because I know that in most of the undergraduate degrees or even master's degrees, you don't really get to learn about or practice hands-on with the marketing tools that are available. As you're probably aware, marketers use a lot of different tools, just like any other profession, not just specific to marketers, but there's so many marketing software that you start to use as soon as you are in the real world and as soon as you are no longer a student. So if you can familiarize yourself with these tools, if you know what they are, if you know different options for email marketing, if you know different options for social media marketing, so on and so forth. So there's a wide variety of software available. It is not realistic for you to know all of the software available or how to use these software, but it is still very handy if you know what they are, one, and if you can get any experience with any of these tools before you actually apply for jobs, then that is definitely going to help you to differentiate yourself, and that's also going to help you out with succeeding faster with your job. Number 5 is researching different career paths and researching the different routes that you can take within marketing. And there's no way that you're going to know which specialization you want to pursue from day one. So don't worry about that. But try to narrow down the options. Try to be educated around this topic and try to have the information so that you are aware of different options available and know which ones you feel more comfortable or warm towards, if that makes sense. And there's a lot of content on my channel about this, including how to choose your specialization, whether or not you need to do that, and also there is one that is like a career guide I will put over here or in the description box below. So do check them out if you want to learn more about the different routes that you can take within marketing. And number 6 is an easy, quick one to do, but it's quite effective. Research good sources available online about marketing and just simply bookmark them on your browser and add them to your favorites, read them frequently, stay up to date and stay updated on what is happening. Number 7 is start meeting people. Go to events, go to online platforms, join groups, join meetups, engage, interact with people, use social media platforms to talk with them, to start conversations. But do not skip this step. This is one thing that I would highly, highly emphasize for myself if I was a new graduate, so I'm definitely suggesting you do this as well. Send messages, make connections, and don't be shy. Number 8 is creating an outstanding cover letter and resume, and cover letters need to be adjusted. So do the resumes sometimes for different companies that you're applying for, but make sure that you invest a good amount of time or sometimes money if you don't feel that what you have put in your resume or your cover letter, or you don't know how to do that perfectly. So in those cases, do invest some money, do take a course, or do take a mentorship from someone who you know will help you out with this one. But definitely make sure that you have a resume that is 100% good and that you're 100% proud of. I understand that you may not have a lot of experience to put on your resume so far, but it is not all about how much you have, but it's more about how you explain it and how you present that on paper. So try to focus on that. Try to focus on your strengths. Try to focus on the keywords that you see in the job posts that you are interested in, and try to use the keywords that your target audience, which is the employers, are using in your resume and cover letter. Number 9 is looking at job-ready technical training. You've done a lot of theory in school, but not a lot of practice, right? So there's a lot of trainings and courses that you can take to close that gap, so don't worry. But if you want to learn a new skill, if you feel that a skill is up and rising in marketing and it's something that's interesting to you, search for those job-ready trainings in that area. And if it means that you need to invest a little bit more money into that, do so, because it is going to help you differentiate and it is going to help you build that skill. Number 10 is all about how to prepare for interviews and how to be a star candidate at these interviews. And one of the effective ways to do this is to be on top of the industry news, on top of what that company is doing. So make sure you do a lot of research before you actually get into that interview, so that you have conversation starters, you know the person that you're going to interview with. So if you're talking to a marketing manager plus an HR recruiter, why don't you go ahead and search what they've done on LinkedIn, see if they have some content that was interesting or informative for you, or try to see if you have any common areas of interest and stuff like that. So make sure that you are knowledgeable about their company and industry, but also have some other conversation starters that can kind of take the conversation to a next level, if that makes sense. I know this is a very long list, but we're about to cover the last 2 points and then this is over and you're going to have a lot of takeaways from this video. So number 11 is to prepare to work for free or low-paying internships or trainee roles or positions similar to that. To be honest, I didn't really have this mindset until a few years into my career, and I wish I had this earlier on when I was a fresh graduate, because I would have been more flexible financially and it would have been easier to make that decision compared to several years later when I probably had more commitments in my life and I was definitely less flexible financially. This is one of the things that can really help you to fast track the first period in your career and to learn a lot of things, because you do have this fresh mind and you don't have that many commitments in life. You're not that restricted. But if you do have that option, then definitely go for low paying or free trainee roles or internship roles, because you are going to learn a lot. Finally, number 12, work on a side hustle, a side project, a passion project, and be really committed to it. Start a blog, start a podcast, start a YouTube channel, whatever it is, but be very committed and take it seriously. Make it something that you are proud to talk about, and it doesn't mean that it has to be super successful, but it means that you are going to take a lot of learnings from it. So let's say you have a blog. Why don't you leverage it to learn more about SEO, content strategy, blog writing, website design, and creative graphics, for example. So there's a lot of things that you can learn from your side projects, and I in fact have a dedicated video only on the power of side hustles. So if it's interesting to you, again, I will drop the link in the comments below, so do check that out. This is something that can really help you learn a lot of things and also create something that you're proud of in the end. To give a personal example, I had my blog for several years already when I had initially graduated, but I never saw it as something to talk about, to be proud of even. And there were even some cases when I thought I shouldn't share this information at all. But now that I can take a step back and look at it from another angle, I realize that I've learned most of my SEO knowledge, website knowledge, WordPress knowledge, and content marketing knowledge thanks to my blog, and also analytics knowledge as well, because that is the first time that I actually got introduced to Google Analytics and started using Analytics, Google Search Console, Google Webmasters, and so on. So all of these tools came into my life, and the plugins that I use with WordPress, those all came into my life because I had this side project that wasn't directly targeting my profession, but it was still very relevant and very informative. I know that was a very long video, but I really hope that you made it to the end and you took some notes of some actions that you want to take after watching this video. In fact, I want you to decide on the number one thing that you are going to take away from this video and take action about it. Please share that with me in the comments below. And if you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And thanks for being here. I will see you in the next video. Take care.